So once you completed all those stations, right, the housing people gives you a piece of paper, has your first name, last name, and stuff like that. Tells you where you're going to go. Oh, I also want to talk about how when I got to the station where it said, okay, we're going to send you to this area of SoCal at this hospital. Tell me why the hospital that they were trying to send me was the hospital that I got like fucking not even demobilized, like the girl we got into it the last time with our last contract where we were doing the monoclonal antibody treatments basically. So I was like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to send me there? Because I had an issue, and she was like, yeah, we're going to put you in the ER too. Huh? I said, the specialty that I signed up for was medical surgical. That's what I've done before. I've never done any ER. She was like, well, LPNs there can work in the ER. You're going to work in the ER. And I was like, oh my God. Like, where did they put you?
I was at some rinky-dink hospital. Well, it wasn't even a hospital. It was like a clinic for like a family clinic inside of a hospital. But yeah, I had never even heard of it. But it was south, like more south where home base was, and home base was San Diego.
Yeah. So they didn't care about the specialty. That is another red flag. So if you don't feel comfortable doing something, listen, I'm comfortable within my skill set and stuff like that, but I make sure every person know if it's something that I can't do and there's a law against it, I'm not going to do it. Just again, like I said before, I'm not doing no RN's initial assessments. That's law. I'm staying within my scope. So they had a clear understanding of that. So again, in the piece of paper that they gave you, along with your orientation, your housing, you take that piece of paper outside. They had like coffee, tea, they had food, water. They had a variety of things. It was the most beautiful hotel I've ever seen, right? Rich, bougie. So you go to the front desk and then you check into your room and they tell you, okay, you make sure you have a laptop. The next day at like 8:30 in the morning, you do your orientation, okay? You spend majority of that morning online just clicking through modules, okay? It's like the second step of modules, right? We get a lot of training. Don't let them fool you. We got a lot of training before we did this, and it was just unorganized. It was chaos, but they had some type of rhythm going on. Then after you finish your orientation online, by the afternoon, you need to do in-person orientation. So when I get here, there's a tent, right? You have this little pass or whatever, and you do checkoffs. So we had like glucometer checkoffs, IV checkoffs, restraint checkoffs. What else did we do? Urine samples.
It was a lot of like flu.
Yeah, swabs and stuff like that. Like a lot of stuff for the LPNs. It wasn't even like heavy hitter stuff. No. Like the RNs were doing the setting up the drip sets and all of that type of stuff. Like I honestly enjoyed it. They kind of made it fun. I thought I had to come in there and it's like, nah, check off with me right now. It's like, no, we're all gonna work together. Mm-hmm. We're gonna go over these skills. And then we just check it off on the piece of paper.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to mention that I did like about this setup is that, with the exception of like the checkpoint when you first went in with the 10 like setup, when you actually did like the walkthrough orientation where they were like semi-training you, I did like how the staff treated us. Like they were very nice.
They were nice. Thankful. Like very nice. They were like, oh, where are you going? This and that. Mm-hmm. So when I was telling myself, oh, I'm going to this side of the town and it's going to be this hospital. And dude was like, oh, yeah, not that hospital. He was like, what setting? I was like, ER. He was like, oh, this lady, she's a part of the ER department there. If you want to talk to her, that's fine. So I told her what my issue was and she was like, don't worry, we're not going to take you out of your scope or anything like that. But just know in this part of town, we do utilize LPNs in our hospitals. But we do understand the difference between the RN and LPN. But you're all useful. So I like that comfort there, knowing like she wasn't like degrading me like and stuff like that. Like, what you mean? You don't know how to do ER skill set and stuff like that? It's just like, no, I didn't sign up for that. Like, she was very comforting, So we finished our skill set. Then we went to the computer station and then we got registered with our login and our password for, I think it was Epic. We were going to use Epic. And then what they do is they sign off your sheet and they let you know that you're basically good to go for the onboarding and orientation. And then after that, once you're done with that, You either, if you flew in, you get on a bus and you go to whatever assigned hotel that they gave you. Me and Jeree, we drove, okay? So after that, did we leave the next day?
Yeah, we
routed out this hotel, the inn. Like, they were knocking on our door, like, are you gonna leave? Are you leaving? Like, we gonna leave. We was just enjoying it. I took me a bubble bath and everything. Like, so we packed our bags. This is what happened to me. This is a huge red flag. The hotel that they sent me to, right? We get there, given the piece of paper. They was like, oh yeah, there's a black bus that just left full of nurses, but we didn't have them, no names under them. We didn't know what this company was. Like, there was no registration, no record. They didn't know what was going on. They was like, we don't have any rooms here. They was like, I'm sorry, but that bus already left. Then I see there's another hotel across. There's more nurses that's just standing outside. So I see the person that's driving the bus. Remind you, everybody's contractors. The bus drivers, everything. They're calling around. Nobody can get in touch with nobody from the company. This is after hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, this was like late.
Late. I drove 2 hours to this hotel. 2 hours just to tell that they don't know who the heck we was. So, I mean, this was just ghetto. But I ended up having to go to Dree's hotel, because they let her in the next day, you know.
And the funny thing about that is, I called and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna come, because literally all they gave us was a piece of paper. It didn't have a number on it. It didn't have an email. It just had some person's name at the bottom, our name, the hotel address, and like a signature or something. Mm-hmm. So I called just to make sure, like, hey, I'm coming. It's not, because they kept saying the hotel's not in your name. Like, I can't see you. I can't find you. I'm like, well, try whoever this person's name is at the bottom. Try this. And I also had to drive 2 hours. So, like, I stopped at a rest stop and I chilled there for a minute. I'm like, I'm tired. Like, I'm exhausted. Like, traveling back and forth. I drove from Oklahoma all the way to Southern California, driving back and forth. Then I had to drive 2 hours. It's exhausting. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, okay, let me take a moment. And then finally, because I talked to the manager, and the manager acted like she didn't know what was going on. I finally talked to someone who wasn't the manager. It was just, I guess, some guy who worked at nights there. And he was like, oh yeah, like, just come. Like, it wasn't in my name. It was under the company's name. And it wasn't, there's two companies. It wasn't the it wasn't my name. It was the company's name, and the company had two names. And when they looked it up, I guess they had to type it in, like the sister company, they had to type it in a certain way, otherwise it wouldn't come up. Yeah. And I think the only reason why he knew is because he was there when it was set up or whatever. But again, the manager didn't know anything, so I just thought that was weird that it was just. I mean, it was poor communication.
So unorganized. Like again, this company was bought out. So I used two names. I said, hey, this is this company or this company. My name is this. Or you can talk to somebody. She was like, no, like this hotel is booked up. Like I don't have you in here. So me and the few girls that actually drove, she walked out. She was like, hey, I'm just going to pay for me my own hotel. The fuck that. I'm not doing that. I've already spent my money from my last contract and stuff like that. Like some of my own money and shit like that. And I'm not going to spend another $200. Mm-hmm. So when Jeriga finally got into her hotel, I just drove back to where she was at and I slept with her. She already had a double bed and it was an extremely nice hotel. So that is another con of this. We were stuck for a day with worrying about our living situation. So when I finally was with Dree, we went out to eat and everything. Like it took me an hour and a half to get in touch with customer service. I told them, I said, hey, I don't have no place to stay. These people didn't know who I was and stuff like that. So the customer service rep, he was like, yeah, we're starting to have an issue with this and stuff, but I'm having a hard time getting in touch with my manager. And the manager needs to get in touch with the housing representative at the hotel. Now, remind you, there's no phones to get in touch with anybody at the hotel. There's no direct line. Like, he would have to probably call and threaten the hotel they were at to get on somebody on the line. You know what I'm saying? So he literally sat on the phone with me, the sweetest man. He was like, here's my email and everything. If you could just give me a minute to get in touch with my manager so we can figure out where you need to be. Okay? So he got stuff done. He sent me where I needed to go. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the pro of the hotels that we were put in. They were definitely fabulous hotels. 12th floor. I mean, just amazing. We had fun. We ate dinner. We ate almost every day out. We just enjoyed the fabulous rich girl life. And we also did go clubbing as well. So it definitely wasn't a boring day when it was all settled in and done. They put us in a bomb hotel, okay? It was bomb. Let me see it. 12th floor. We went to the pool and everything. I'll probably insert a clip or stuff like that, what we did. But just for my IG alone and what we did, like, we had fun, okay? But appreciate to the customer service rep for getting this stuff done. It took us a day and a half to get housing, okay? So that is another con with striking. This is nothing but chaos. And some people don't have time to play with their money and stuff like that. So this is another thing that was happening in the strike group. I noticed a lot of girls were worried about that if they flew in and the strike was called or whatever, they didn't get their housing, they were stuck, or they were, I don't know if they were sleeping at the airport or sleeping in the hotel and stuff like that. But it was just a lot of stuff going on, and they were saying they didn't have any money. You gotta have money. I'm sorry. You gotta have money for real to make money. Although this company was tacky as hell, I don't want to see nobody stuck. So this is what it is. We drove. This was the safest way to drive from a strike. If you fly in, you have to call this number, and you're supposed to press like 5. This automatic message will tell you, green light. Like the Squid Games, green light. You're good to go. The strike is still called, okay? Even if you have a connecting flight, call that number before you sit down in the airplane. Green light, you're good to go. The strike was called on a Saturday. People were still probably in the air or whatever, or they were ready to get on the plane. Call. Red light. Some people said in a strike group that as soon as the red light happened, they canceled all their connecting flights. Mm-hmm.
So they were literally stuck waiting for their next move.
Stuck.
Which when you're not able to get in contact with anybody immediately, that could feel like an eternity.
Yeah.
You are stuck waiting for somebody else, and they said also that if you booked your own flight, you would not be reimbursed.
Yep.
So it was just kind of like you were forced. You were
up in the air, up in the air. So there were a few people that say, okay, hey, should I just book my own flight back at home? And there was some that was like, no, I'm gonna keep going. No, you're supposed to get off that, grab your bags as soon as you hear that red light and get off that plane, because these people are making it clear they won't be responsible for you anymore. They're not going to house you anymore. Get off that plane. So the safe route, honestly, in my opinion, is to drive to a strike. You know, if you want to burn your gas and put a lot of wear and tear on your car. But like I said, she was already a state away. I was already in SoCal. So this was just luck. So that was another strike that was going on. So while we were in the hotel, what happened next after that? We had our fun. The strike was called in the morning. And it said, thank you for your assistance. Basically, we'll no longer be meeting anymore. And we were just so excited to do this. And our contracts state that if you don't work like basically a day, you get a settlement fee. Our settlement fee was $950, okay? But $950 plus your $1,200 bonus, plus your $2,800 bonus, plus your orientation hourly fee. We got paid what for the orientation?
It was, $50 for online, and it's supposed to be $92, but they ended up changing it to just $50 for that day with orientation.
So it was just $50?
Yeah, they changed it to $50.
I have to go look back at the ADP. Okay. So $50 per hour. Tell them how much we just basically made from orientation and the model. I want to get this.
They paid me for 12 hours because when I logged my time never went in. Mm-hmm. No, it went in, but they kept projecting it. So that was a worry for me because I didn't even know if they were going to pay me for that day because it wasn't logged. On top of that, we were promised the bonuses. We were promised the per diem. We were promised, the pay for the orientation. We were promised the relocation back and forth. So we were promised all these things. It's supposed to be $1,000 for the relocation back and forth. But when I called customer service, I talked to them and they were like, yeah, you're just getting the settlement. And I'm like, well, wait, I don't get my bonus? and they were, no, well, you don't get your bonus because the strike never happened. Like, you didn't even work. And I was like, yeah, but that's not what the email was stating. The email stated that if you were to do all these things and jump through all these hoops, you would get both bonuses.
Both, yeah. So this is what it is. Was it $1,200 for the pre-bonus before the strike is called? $2,800 if you're there. You make it to the hotel. You did the modules and you did the in-person orientation. Okay, you jump through those hoops. And then for the modules, you get paid for that day. So we only did like 8 hours. They paid us for 12. They paid us at $50 per hour and $75 of overtime. Okay, free money. Then you get a per diem. How much was the per diem? Oh shit, I can't even see it.
It bounced back. At first they said it was going to be 52, I think, or something like that. Or yeah, it was like 53 or something. And then I got an email saying that it was going to be 63. But then again, that changed again. So I really, honestly, I don't even remember what the per diem was. I just know that they did pay me for per diem.
Okay. Wait, so I'm getting this confused as well. I need to write this down. Okay, so I'm sorry, work with me. We got paid a $1,200 for our bonus. The orientation modules that we did before the strike was called, you also got paid for that. So you put in your hours. I think they paid me out. They paid me out for 20. They paid me 21 hours. That's what I put in. It took me a minute to finish those modules. You put in like you put in whatever.
I'm gonna be honest. I put in for my modules, but I also put in for the time it took me to go down to get my like all the pre-stuff, everything before the modules. I wanted to be paid for, so I put in for that too. Right. And that's what I was told to do. I was told if you go down and you go get the drug test and it takes you 3 hours to do the drug test, add that in too. Mm-hmm. So I just added all that in there. So I got paid 3 times, I think. One time for like 7 hours, one time for 10 hours or something like that, and then one time for 11 hours. I don't know, something. Okay. There was something to the effect.
Okay. So I got this I'm looking at it right now. The modules before the strike was called was actually $50 per hour, right? The orientation, once you got there, they actually paid us for $92 an hour, okay? And then that was $138 of overtime. Remember, in California, so it's just doubles, really. What else after that? Then the settlement fee of $950. So I'll probably put it somewhere in this video of everything so we can get it together for you guys on here. But we did make money for just the stuff that was done. If we actually just stepped foot at the hospital for that day, we would have been paid at our hourly rate, which was $92, overtime of $138, and then plus our per diem, which was like $385 in total there. So if you added it up and you actually worked the strike, there was potential as an LPN to make over $11,000. If you're at the strike and you're at the hospital, they already pre-printed a check. They know what you're going to make that day. Mm-hmm. So every time that you get off at a shift, the payroll specialist will hand you a check. Okay? Just 5 days was the only commitment that they wanted. And also when we were there at the hotel, they also asked us, they said, if we need you guys further into December or a month, are you willing to stay? I was like, hell yeah, I want to stay. What you mean? Put me in right now. 11,000? No problem. Okay. It was a base of 7,000, and then with the bonus, 11,000. So get the money out the way. I'm gonna put everything on the screen there. After when that happened, the strike was called. Okay. Me and Jaree was pissed. It was early in the morning because we were already anxious. We jumped through all these hoops to get here, and now we don't know when our checks is gonna come. Yeah. We can't get in contact with nobody, and then the only time they message us and emailing us is just basically just saying get the fuck out the hotel. Yes,
and let me also add that what pissed me off the most was after they canceled the strike, which that's fine, but it was the shit that happened afterwards where I was like, y'all got me fucked up. We received a text message stating that we would get full instructions. We have 24 hours after to leave. They would give us an email stating all of our pay and all, whatever they were going to give us, and then full instructions on what to do afterwards. Well, I think we got the email. You said one something in the morning, some crazy time. Okay, so in my understanding, it was 24 hours. We had to leave 24 hours after we received notification that the strike had ended. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for me, that would have been whatever it was, 24 hours from that time. So it would have went over into the next day, and I would have been able to check out the day following that. Well, the reason why that was messed up was because when I got a call, I was doing laundry, trying to clean all my shit because, I'm driving back and forth. We stand in a hotel, changing, changing from the scrubs to our street clothes, trying to make sure that everything was taken care of, doing all the stuff that we were supposed to do on the ground for them first. And then after that happened, we were supposed to, and then they called off the strike. We were supposed to just check out. Well, they changed the time from that. Basically, they were saying that day, the morning of, we had to check out and leave. Mm-hmm. Instead of the day following, which would have made sense because it's like the guy, when I called him, he said, no, it's 24 hours from when. Well, when I went downstairs to, get quarters for my laundry, they basically were telling me, "Oh, you're still here?" And I was like, "Yeah,
bro."
So everyone else is gone. I'm like, okay, I'm not everyone else. I didn't even get here.
We drove. It was time to pack. Yes.
And then the guy called me. He was like, "Why are you still there?" I'm like, "Listen, sir, I drove 24 hours in a car, okay, and then now you're telling me that I have to drive 24 hours, turn right back around, and go home." I said, I needed a moment to clean, to wash my clothes. I needed a moment to get myself together. And I'm exhausted. No one jumps on the road like that, because if you do, as a traveling nurse who is also on the road, it's not safe for you. Those signs are up there on the highway for a reason. It is not safe for you to drive when you're tired. It is not safe for you, to do all of that. So I was giving my body a rest. That wasn't good enough for him. So he was basically like, yeah, let me talk to my manager. And the manager just said, no, you're going to have to leave. You have to leave right now. And I was like, what, y'all got me fucked up, but I'm going to leave though.
Yeah, exactly. So I left. We packed our bags and I drove back home to Oklahoma.
I want my money. I want my money. Okay. Then they okay me for orientation. Okay, maybe that's out.